All right, welcome to our coffee recommendation system project. Okay, guys, so in this presentation, we're going to walk through how we built a coffee recommendation system. But before we dive into the technical side, I want to show you how this exact concept can apply to your business. All right. So whether you're in retail, food and beverage, e-commerce, or hospitality, a recommendation system helps you connect your customers to the right products instantly and intelligently. So let's say, for example, that you run an online adult beverage store and you want to recommend lesser known Black owned brands to customers who typically buy more popular names. Or maybe you own a cafe and you'd like to show customers new blends or menu items that match the flavor profiles they already love. It doesn't stop there. Maybe you sell kava, herbal teas, or nutritional supplements, and you want to guide your shoppers towards healthier alternatives based on their preferences. Or maybe you're in the restaurant business and you'd like to offer smart menu suggestions like, if you enjoyed this dish, you might also love this one. No matter the product, drink, food, wellness, or lifestyle goods, this technology personalizes your customer's experience and keeps them discovering more of what your brand has to offer. Okay, so in this demo, we'll show you how our coffee recommendation system works end to end, from the front end user experience to the machine learning model that powers it under the hood. Then we'll show you how this exact setup can be customized for your products and integrated directly with your website or app. If you're a business owner looking to give your customers a more personalized, engaging shopping experience, or if you want to increase product discoverability and sales through smart recommendations, you can book a free demo with our team at Xbiz Intelligence. You can contact us at xbizintelligence@gmail.com or simply visit us online at www.xbizintelligence.com. All right, let's jump into this project. Okay, before I even go into the presentation, let me just give you guys a demo of what our front end simple recommendation system looks like. Okay, so this is our very simple front end, and as you guys can see, this would be one of our more known popular products. So let's say this is the Colombian Supreme, and if I click make recommendation, it recommends two of the lesser known blends, so our Rwanda Bloom and our Brazilian Harmony, and it also has a similarity score. We also have a REST API, but I'll give you guys more of a demo later on in the project. Okay, so here's how our presentation is set up. First, you guys will go into our introduction. We'll go into our business challenge. We'll go into our solution, and then I'll give you guys another demo. And then from there, we'll have the technical walkthrough. We'll have the Jupyter Notebook. We'll have the REST API, and then the front end website. All right, so here's our introduction. So welcome to Coffee Shop ABC Recommendation System project. So in this project, we're building a simple coffee recommendation system for our fictional company, Coffee Shop ABC. The company has five new coffees that they want to introduce to their customers, and they would like to recommend which new coffees a customer might enjoy based on the coffees they already like. Okay, so here's our business challenge. So Coffee Shop ABC already has several popular, well-known coffees that their customers love. However, they recently developed five new coffee blends and want to increase customer adoption by intelligently recommending these new options. So the challenge is to determine which new coffees are most similar to the existing popular ones based on various coffee attributes. Okay, so here's our solution. So to solve this, we built a simple yet powerful machine learning model that compares different coffee flavor profiles, things like acidity, body, sweetness, aroma, etc., and finds which ones are most similar. That means if a user selects a popular coffee, the system will instantly recommend two lesser known coffees that have a similar taste profile. Okay, so this is the demo of what you guys saw before on the front. So on the left-hand side, you see the front end, what it looks like when you select a particular coffee, and then it will recommend the two similar lesser known. And we also built a REST API. So on the right-hand side, you guys see the REST API. You guys will get more of a demo later on in the presentation. Okay, so firstly, I like to just start off by pictorially showing like what it is that we're trying to accomplish. All right, so for our recommendation system, there's basically two ways we could approach this, right? So the left-hand side, what we're doing is, okay, so these are our popular, more known. These are like five popular, more known coffees. And then we have our five newer coffees, right? And what we want to do is recommend two of the most similar newer coffees, comparing those to the popular ones that they already know and enjoy. So this is just pictorially showing you this. Now, another approach that we will try in the future is one where we use similar customers, right? So we say that, we have data on, these particular customers and the newer coffees that they enjoy. And essentially what we do is find the most similar customer to the new customer that we don't know. All right, so that's another way. So you guys may have seen that in other machine learning, like people who enjoy this also, people who enjoy this also like this, right? But in this particular use case, we're going to stick to looking at the actual features or attributes of the coffee. All right. So these are the attributes that we're using. So now in your case, whether you are selling kava, adult beverage, nutritional, whatever have you, you'll have attributes of your products that we use to find how similar, the different products are. So in our case, for the coffee, we have the acidity, we have the body, the sweetness, the bitterness, the aroma, the flavor notes, the aftertaste, the roast level, the processing method, and then the country of origin. All right, here's a breakdown. So this better defines like exactly what each of the attributes mean. So for example, the acidity is looking at the brightness or tartness and taste. The body is looking at the weight or the mouthfeel, the lightful, lightful. The sweetness is looking at the natural sugary or fruity taste. The bitterness is looking at how sharp or harsh the taste level is. The aroma is the intensity and character of the coffee smell. The flavor notes, so some key identifiable tastes like chocolate or citrus or floral. The aftertaste, so how long and pleasant the flavor lingers. You also have the roast level, so from light, medium, or dark roast intensity. And you also have the processing method, so how the beans were processed, they wash, natural, honey, etc. And then finally, you have the country of origin, where the coffee is grown, right? So these are the attributes for this particular use case. And again, if we were doing your products, we look at the distinguishing like attributes of your product. All right. Okay, so now we're going to get into some of the more technical points of this. So one of the main concepts that we want to tackle is something called cosine similarity. So in short, it tells us how similar two coffees taste based on their overall feature pattern. All right. So imagine each coffee is described by a bunch of numbers, like its acidity, the body, the sweetness, etc., like the attributes you guys saw on the other screen. Now, if you plot these numbers in space, each coffee becomes a point or direction in space. All right. So the cosine similarity measures how close the direction of two coffees are. So not their distance apart, but how aligned their overall flavor profiles are. So the score of one means they're pointing in the exact same direction. They're very, very similar. All right. And a score of zero means they're completely different, no similarity. All right. So this is a cosine similarity or a heat map that we created for our particular use case. And we do the same thing for your products. All right. So we have our known products and we have our lesser known products. And basically these are their cosine similarity scores to each other. Now another very important concept that we need to tackle is something called principal component analysis or PCA. In short, the PCA tells us helps us to simplify and see the big picture, flavor differences between coffees. All right, so the CPA helps us to deal with lots of overlapping information. All right, so some features like for example, like the sweetness and the fruitiness, they're telling us similar things, right? And what the PCA does is it finds the patterns and it compresses that information into a few main things or principal components. That's where that name comes from. So it basically turns many columns of data into just a few summary columns that still explain most of the differences between the coffees. So this helps the model focus on what really matters, and it makes it easier to visualize or compare coffees without noise. All right. So remember how we had all of those different attributes in the previous slide? Well, now we just have these two. That's what we did. So in ours, we chose two principal components and we plotted those. So we have the principal component number one on our x-axis and principal component number two on our y-axis. And now we're plotting our points, right? So now we have our popular or more known blends here, and then we have our newer ones that we want to introduce. And this already begins to like show you guys pretty much, how we would begin to recommend. So for example, if we have our more popular, like, the latte or the cappuccino or the espresso, and then we look to see, okay, using our principal components and plotting this, like what are the other lesser known ones that are closest to this, that are most similar? All right. So we took all of those different attributes and then we just compressed those to the two principal components and then we plotted that. All right. So jumping into the data set. Now, the data set is extremely important. And this is basically the what our data set looked like. So basically, we had a column that was flagged as popular. So those are basically the known ones. So let's say, for example, like I said, I had a client come to me who sells adult beverages. And in his case, if he gave us a data set, it'd be like the popular, more known brands, right? And then the lesser known ones would be the black owned brands. All right. So we had a column that flagged pretty much like the type of the product. And then we have what we call our feature columns. So like the acidity, the body, the sweetness, etc. So those are our feature columns. All right. Now you'll notice something important here. You guys will see this later on the Jupyter notebook, but we pre-process the data so that each of those attributes they are now basically numbers on a scale of 1 to 10. And that makes it a lot easier for us to feed our model. Okay, so this is what I mean. So this is what the data set looks like when it's processed so that we can, actually like use this data to calculate the cosine similarity, and to plot it using our PCA, etc. All right. So notice that, for example, this no longer has the actual country, but instead these are numerical values. And it's on and the same thing for the processing method, right? So remember how we had before, like washed or honey, etc. But now we've encoded these to numbers. Same thing with roast level. So notice it's not like light or dark or medium, but instead it's on a scale of 1 to 10. Same thing with aftertaste and even the flavor notes. So this all happened when we processed the data. And now we have everything on a scale of 1 to 10 so that we can actually begin to calculate the cosine similarity and use this in our recommendation system. Okay, so this is the Jupyter Notebook. So before I begin any sort of coding, always start with the Jupyter Notebook to help us think through what we need to do. So this gave us a demo of the data set. It showed our pre-processing steps, like what we did. It also plotted out the points. And then it also gave us our first like recommendation function. So that's where we first began creating like the recommendations function. You could think of this as like a sandbox. So what you guys see also is the similarity data frame. So it calculated how similar each product is to each other. Because when you recommend, you want to find the two most similar products. So it gave us a similarity data. And then also here we pretty much have a function. And then what you guys see is us like testing out that function. So we passed in, for example, the Guatemalan gold. And then we got the two most similar, lesser known products and its similarity score. So that was the Jupyter notebook before we got into any coding. Okay, next what we did was create a REST API. Okay, so our REST API show we have a few endpoints. So the endpoint that shows us all the endpoints. Then we have the endpoint of popular. So it gives you a list of all of the popular blends. And then we have a lesser known endpoint. So it shows you all the lesser known blends. And then finally, there's an endpoint that also allows you to get a recommendation. So you pass it into our recommendation endpoint along with the name of the product, and then it'll return to you in JSON format the two most similar lesser known products. All right. And this is very important because this can easily integrate into any sort of app or any sort of website that you use. So we made sure to build a REST API first. All right, once we had our REST API, then finally we actually created our very simple front end database. And this is what you guys saw before, right? So now a user can select a more commonly known blend, and then they select make recommendation, and then it will return the two most similar lesser known blends and their similarity score. So this is just a very, very simple front end view of the recommendation system. And in this case, this is for the coffee blend. But as I explained before, this can easily work for any other product, from clothing to foods to any sort of like product you can think of. Like this recommendation system will work exactly following the same principles that we described in our project. So if you guys want to book a free demo so that we can better demonstrate like how we can have this exact same use case work for your products, all you guys have to do is visit xbizintelligence.com and then there'll be a button for you to book a free demo. And if you guys really, really enjoyed this, be sure to let us know. You can like this, you can share this with someone who you know can really benefit from this. And again, you guys can reach out to us, website and email. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this presentation. And just one more time, I'm going to give you guys a demo of the front end and of the REST API so you can see for yourself. Okay, so here again is our recommendation one. So let's go with the Ethiopian Sunrise, for example, and then boom, we get our two most similar lesser known brands. So again, you can think of yourself if this is you, for example, let's say that you again sell black owned adult beverages. You could think of this as like the popular, more known um adult beverage branding here. And then when you press recommend, you get from your data set two of the black owned adult beverage brands. All right. Even if you do kava, or I even had the use case of if you are in the restaurant industry and perhaps you have your comfort foods and you want to recommend a healthier version. So imagine you have like comfort food number one, and when you press recommend, it'll show you the two most similar higher nutritional menu items. Works the exact same way. All right, let's look at our REST API. So again, we have the route that will just list out all the different routes that we have here. And then we have the popular ones. So it'll list out all the different popular products. The lesser known. So it'll list out all the different lesser known products. And then finally, we have the recommendation endpoint. So again, here is our query parameter where we're just passing in the product name here. And then we get the two most similar lesser known brands. All right. And yeah, here's the front end. And again, if you guys want to book a demo, just make sure you head on over to xbizintelligence.com and then just click book a demo and fill out this form here, and you can get a free demo so that we can show you how this same use case will work for your business. I really hope you guys enjoyed this.